I still remember the first time I looked at myself in the mirror and thought, God, what's wrong with me? There wasn't a big moment that led up to it. No heartbreak, no confession, no reason I could name. Just me, standing there with a toothbrush in my mouth, feeling this strange heaviness in my chest that I couldn't explain. I was 16, and for the first time, I felt like a stranger in my own skin. That question, what's wrong with me, followed me everywhere. It sat beside me in classrooms, echoed in locker rooms, whispered behind every laugh. And the worst part? I didn't even have an answer. But looking back now, I know that was the beginning of my coming out journey. Though at the time, it didn't feel like a journey. It felt like drowning in silence. I grew up thinking I was just like everyone else. I wore the same school uniform, listened to the same pop songs, daydreamed about the same movie stars. At least the ones I was supposed to. When my friends talked about boys, I played along. I'd smile and nod, ask questions, laugh at all the right moments. But inside, there was this quiet static, a buzzing discomfort that never went away. Every time they talked about crushes or kisses, something in me went still. I couldn't relate, but I also couldn't say why. So I told myself I was just a late bloomer, that eventually, I'd figure it out. But then came her. Her name was Mia. She transferred into our school halfway through the year, and she had this energy, this effortless warmth that made people want to orbit around her. She laughed with her whole face. She was kind in a way that made you want to be near her. And for reasons I didn't understand then, I always wanted to be near her. It was a Thursday afternoon, the kind of day that feels ordinary until it isn't. We were studying for finals together. My parents were out. The air smelled faintly like detergent and summer rain. She sat cross-legged on my bed, snacking on chips, her hair tied messily back. We were supposed to be going over literature notes, but I couldn't focus on a single word. I was too busy memorizing the curve of her smile, the way her voice softened when she read aloud. And then it hit me, that flutter in my stomach that everyone always talked about, the one I never understood when it came to boys, suddenly made sense. It was this. It was her. And just like that, a new kind of fear was born, because even though it felt pure and real, everything I'd been taught screamed that it wasn't. I tried to push it away, to label it as admiration, confusion, anything that made it less dangerous. But that night, lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, I couldn't stop replaying every moment. Her laugh, her kindness, the warmth in my chest that scared me more than anything else ever had. I picked up my phone and searched the words. Is it normal for girls to like girls? I remember scrolling through the results. Endless threads, strangers arguing in comment sections, headlines that felt like warnings. The deeper I scrolled, the smaller I felt. And somewhere between those words, I decided I would never say it out loud. Not to anyone. Maybe not even to myself. The next week, I started dating a boy from chemistry class. He was nice. He liked music and played soccer. My friends approved. It was easy, on paper. But every time he held my hand, my stomach tightened, and my heart stayed silent. I told myself it was fine, that this was how it was supposed to be, that if I just tried hard enough, I could fix it. But love doesn't grow in lies. It withers there. That's when the real battle began. Not with the world, but with myself. Every time I saw two women holding hands, I'd feel something spark inside. and then immediately crush it. Every time I felt the truth rise up, I'd bury it under a layer of shame. That's what internalized homophobia does. It makes you your own jailer. You build the walls, lock the door, and then pretend you're free. 2 years later, Mia moved to another city. We stayed in touch, liking each other's posts, the occasional text. But the distance was safe. I could pretend I was over it. Then one night, scrolling through Instagram, I saw it. A photo of her, smiling, radiant, holding hands with another girl. The caption said something simple like, "Finally free." I stared at it for a long time, my heart pounding. At first, I felt this sting of jealousy. Not because she was with someone else, but because she was living. Because she had done the one thing I was too scared to do. I wanted to be happy for her, but I also wanted to cry, so I did both. Through tears, I typed a message. "Hey, I'm really proud of you." I almost didn't send it. My hands were shaking, but I hit send anyway. A few minutes later, she replied, "Thank you. You can be proud of you too, you know." I remember staring at that message frozen, because in those 10 words, she saw right through me. She knew. She always knew. And that was the first time I didn't feel judged. I felt understood. That night I whispered the words to myself, just to see how they felt. "I think I'm gay." And it was like opening a window after years of holding your breath. The next day, I told my best friend. I was terrified. My hands were sweating. My throat dry. I told her we needed to talk, and when I finally said the words, I waited for everything to change, for her to pull away, for the world to tilt, but she didn't flinch. She smiled, and she said, "I know. I was just waiting for you to know too." I laughed and cried at the same time. That was my plot twist, the thing I never expected. Because for years, I'd built this story in my head where coming out meant losing people. But what I found instead was love that had been there all along. That hug, that acceptance. It didn't erase all the fear, but it started to heal it. Before that moment, my life was all about control. Every word, every gesture, every outfit carefully chosen to fit a version of myself I thought the world could tolerate. But after that moment, after speaking the truth out loud, everything shifted. It wasn't like the movies. There was no instant transformation, but something subtle changed. I could finally look in the mirror without flinching. Colors looked brighter. Music felt deeper. Silence didn't feel so heavy. I started unlearning the things I'd internalized for so long. That being queer was shameful. That love needed permission. That authenticity was dangerous. I began following lesbian stories online, hearing people talk openly about the things I thought I had to hide. Their laughter, their joy, their honesty. It cracked something open in me. For the first time, I realized I wasn't the only one who had felt this way. That the guilt, the confusion, the shame, it wasn't unique to me. It was something we'd all been taught to carry. But here's the thing. Shame only survives in silence. Once you speak, it starts to die. That realization didn't come overnight. It came slowly, through awkward conversations, hesitant confessions, and the soft courage of telling the truth one person at a time. I still had fears. Family gatherings where I didn't know if I could be myself, relatives who made comments that stung. But the difference was, I no longer believed them. I no longer believed that their discomfort meant I was wrong. I was learning finally to exist without apology. If you're still listening, I want to tell you something that took me years to understand. You are not broken. You are not a mistake, or a phase, or a disappointment waiting to happen. You are simply becoming, slowly, bravely, beautifully. This journey, your coming out journey, will not always be easy. Some days will feel like stepping into sunlight, others like walking through fog. But both are part of it. Both are necessary. The fear you feel doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're about to be free. And I know what it's like to think that coming out is this one dramatic moment, a single sentence that changes everything. But it's not. It's a collection of small moments. The first time you say it out loud, the first time you don't flinch when someone says gay, the first time you stop apologizing for existing. Those are the milestones that matter. I wish I could go back and tell my younger self that she didn't have to fight herself so hard. That there was nothing wrong with loving who she loved. That the world would not collapse. It would expand. And if you're watching this, and you're still in that quiet, painful space of wondering if it's normal, it is. It's normal to question. It's normal to feel scared. It's normal to crave love and acceptance and freedom. What isn't normal is spending your whole life pretending to be someone you're not. You deserve the real thing. The kind of life that feels like breathing. So, if you take anything from this story, let it be this. You don't need permission to be yourself. You don't need a perfect moment or the right words. You just need honesty. And when you finally let yourself speak that truth, when you finally look in the mirror and see someone worthy, whole, and real, that's when your story really begins. Because love, the kind that's true, was never the problem. Shame was. And once you let go of that, everything else starts to bloom. So take this as your sign. You're allowed to exist exactly as you are. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to be loved. And if this story resonates with you, if you're somewhere on your own path, unsure or afraid or just trying to figure things out, I'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts or your coming out journey in the comments. Tell me how you're feeling, what you've learned, what still scares you. Because stories like ours deserve to be told. They save people. If you found comfort or courage in this video, consider subscribing. Not because it helps the algorithm, though it does, but because it builds a space where people like us don't have to whisper anymore. We can talk, we can heal, we can exist. Thank you for listening to my story, and wherever you are, whoever you are, I hope tonight, when you look in the mirror, you see someone worth loving, because you are. Always have been. Always will be.